Hey, I'm Jusko from ProbMoney.com. In this video, we are going to look at the best credit cards for international travel that have no annual fee and no foreign transaction fees. So if you are heading out of the US sometime soon, you may know that many credit cards have a 3% foreign transaction fee, which means you're going to pay 3% more on top of anything that you buy in another country. Now, there are plenty of travel credit cards on the market that have annual fees that waive that foreign transaction fee, but it is less common on no annual fee cards. So if you just want to get yourself a sort of quick credit card to make sure you avoid those fees and maybe have some travel benefits, in this video we are going to look at the top 5 cards that I would recommend, and then we'll also talk about some other cards that you could choose. All right, the number 1 card on this list, the US Bank Altitude Connect. No annual fee, no foreign transaction fees. You are going to get a good number of rewards on this card, 4% or 4 points per dollar on travel purchases that you make with this card. Actually, if you book some travel through the US Bank travel portal or travel search engine, you could think of, you would get 5% on car rentals and on prepaid hotels. And then you also get 4%, which could be also 4 points per dollar on gas or electric vehicle charging. You've got 2 points per dollar on grocery stores, 2 points per dollar on dining, 2 points per dollar on most streaming services, 1 point per dollar everywhere else. Now that's already a good package, but there's even more going on with this card. You have an up to $100 credit for TSA PreCheck or Global Entry. If you pay for those programs that help you get through the airport faster with this card, you would get that credited back to you. You also have 4 passes per year to Priority Pass airport lounges that you can use. You have some travel protections on this card in specific trip delay or trip cancellation insurances. You always want to read the fine print on those to see exactly what you're getting. But for a no annual fee card, there's a ton going on here that is helpful to you if you are traveling outside of the United States. And then as a new card holder, you even have a bonus opportunity where you could potentially earn an extra $200. And that is why this is the number 1 card on the list. Number 2 on this list, the Wells Fargo Autograph Visa, no annual fee, no foreign transaction fees, and you get 3 points per dollar or 3% cash back if you choose to redeem that way in a bunch of categories, many of them relevant to travel. You're going to get 3% back on most travel purchases, 3% back on dining, 3% back on transit, so if you're using trains in another country or taxis, 3% there, 3% on gas purchases, 3% if you pay your cell phone bill with this card, you would get 3% in rewards, 3% on most streaming services, and then 1% on everything else. You have the opportunity potentially for a $200 bonus as a new card holder on this card. So this is really sort of a good Swiss Army knife of a card with no annual fee, no foreign transaction fees, and a bunch of 3% categories. Number 3 on the list, the Capital One Saver Rewards card. No annual fee, no foreign transaction fees. You're going to get 3% cash back on dining, 3% cash back on entertainment, 3% back on grocery store purchases, 3% back on most streaming services, 1% everywhere else. However, you also can get 5% cash back on certain travel when booked through the Capital One travel search engine, namely hotels and car rentals will get you 5% when booked through that search engine. You do have a possibility of a $200 bonus as a new card holder as long as you meet a minimum spend. So this is a nice card from Capital One for international travel. I should mention here that Capital One does not have foreign transaction fees on any of their credit cards. So really Capital One was ahead of the game as far as this goes, both on their no annual fee cards and other travel cards. Also, I want to mention here that if you are a college student, you probably want to look first at the Capital One Saver Rewards student card. And I say first before any of the cards that we've already talked about, because you're probably going to have an easier time getting approved for the Capital One Saver student card than the standard Capital One Saver card, and it's really almost exactly the same credit card, and then you're going to have an easier time being approved for that Saver student card than the first 2 cards that we talked about in this video. So if you are a student, probably the number 1 card is going to be the Capital One Saver student card. Number 4 is the SoFi credit card. This is a card that has no annual fee, no foreign transaction fees. It gives you 2% cash back on all the purchases you make with the card. No categories to consider, anything like that. It's just 2% flat across the board. Not a whole lot more going on with this card, but it is a nice sort of basic cashback card to have, and it has no foreign transaction fees. So if you want to be overseas or wherever outside of the US and just know you're going to get a 2% reward and not pay any of those nasty foreign transaction fees, this is a good choice too. Now, number 5 on the list is a hedge to a certain extent, or maybe going outside of the rules of this video, because it is the Amazon Visa card. And there is an Amazon Prime Visa and there's an Amazon Rewards Visa. The Prime Visa requires you to be part of the paid Amazon Prime service. So obviously, if you are a paid member, well, then you have paid something in order to be able to access the Prime Visa card. But you also can get the Amazon Rewards Visa that has no annual fee and does not require you to be a Prime member. Both of these cards are going to have no foreign transaction fees. If you have the Prime Visa, you are a Prime member, you'll get 5% cash back on your Amazon and Whole Foods purchases, and then you're going to get 2% cash back on a bunch of other categories, 1% everywhere else. If you have the Amazon Rewards Visa, you don't have Prime, well, that is a true no annual fee, no foreign transaction fee card, and that's going to get you 3% on Amazon purchases instead of the 5% if you were a member of Prime. But everything else in the card is going to be pretty much the same, other than the fact that you can get a little bit bigger bonus if you are a Prime member when you sign up for this card. If you are not a Prime member, it's going to be a little smaller bonus. All right, so those are your top 5. Those are the places that I would look first, but I am now going to give you a list of another 11 cards that maybe you would consider both in the short term for your international travel, or maybe for the long term if you like the rewards on them better than the cards that we have talked about, and I'll give a little commentary on these when appropriate. So first off is the Bilt MasterCard, which is a no annual fee, no foreign transaction fee card that is popular due to the fact that it gives rewards on rent payments. So if you're a renter, that is something that you would find interesting. Really no other credit cards on the market doing that, so Bilt has a unique position. Number 2, the Costco Visa. Obviously, you have to be a member of Costco in order to get this, but if you are, that is a card that has no foreign transaction fees and some decent rewards. If you are a member of Navy Federal Credit Union, you could look at the Navy Federal Cash Rewards card that is going to give you 2% cash back on all of your purchases, at least if you are qualified with it with a certain credit limit. Then you have the FNBO Getaway card. This is a pretty nice travel card with no annual fee, no foreign transactions. Bank of America Travel Rewards, Capital One Quicksilver, not as good as the Saver, but another card that you can consider. The One Key card, which is the Expedia/VRBO/hotels.com program. One Key, their Visa card, has some decent rewards, and there is a no annual fee version with no foreign transaction fees. You've got the Venmo credit card. There is also the DoorDash credit card, the Instacart MasterCard. Neither of those, I think, are necessarily great cards on their own, but they fit the bill here. And then I will also mention the Capital One Venture One card, which you would think maybe I would have higher on this list because it is supposedly a travel card from Capital One, but really it is a card that gives pretty paltry rewards, even though it is no annual fee and no foreign transaction fee. So it's really one I would not recommend. I would recommend a different Capital One card before it. Now, if you've made it this far, you probably wonder why I haven't mentioned any of the no annual fee cards from the major airlines or major hotel chains. And there are cards that fit the bill with no annual fee, no foreign transaction fees. Things like the United Gateway card, you've got Marriott Bonvoy Bold, the IHG Traveler card, there's a Choice Privileges card, you've got the Hilton American Express card, Delta Blue. So there are a lot of cards with no annual fee and no foreign transaction fees from the major airlines and major hotel chains. The reason I don't put them higher on the list is because if you are thinking of getting a hotel or airline credit card, I think that really you should, I don't want to say splurge, but you should pay an annual fee and get one of the better cards from the airline or hotel chain that you are thinking of, because these no annual fee cards are so bare bones in comparison to the other cards offered by these hotels or airlines that it would be almost a shame to get these cards and get these sort of paltry rewards that they have, because they're really not a card that I think you would want to be using every day, even though in a pinch they would give you the no foreign transaction fees if you use them outside of the US. And then finally, I should mention that Discover has no foreign transaction fees on its credit cards, but the downside to them is that they oftentimes are not accepted outside of the United States. So if you think you're going to head out with your Discover card and you're going to be able to use it in Italy or, France or wherever, there's a good chance that they aren't even going to have heard of Discover. So you really want to make sure that you have a different card as sort of your main card, or at least a backup to a Discover card, probably a MasterCard or Visa, because even American Express is going to have limited acceptance in a lot of countries. So you definitely want to be careful about that and make sure you have at least one MasterCard or Visa if you are going outside of the US. And with all of the cards that we have talked about, those are MasterCard or Visa cards, except for the Delta Blue card, which is an American Express, and the Hilton American Express card that I talked about in the last little segment. But all the rest of these are going to be Visa or MasterCards, and you can feel comfortable that they're going to be accepted outside of the US. So that is it. If you have questions about any of those cards that I mentioned, let me know in the comments section below and I will try to answer them for you. If you know of other cards that I missed that are no annual fee, no foreign transaction fee cards, would love to hear about that down there as well. Otherwise, I thank you for watching.